I'll move House File 2490 to be re-referred to the Ways and Means Committee. Representative Wolgamott, you want to explain your bill?
Absolutely. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you House File 2490, which is a bill that establishes a grant program for state parks throughout the state of Minnesota, authorizing the Minnesota Amateur Sports Commission to build skate parks all throughout our state. I'm bringing this bill forward because I'm a father of two, and I think it's really important that we give kids opportunities to go outside and recreate, to put the phones down, to put the video games down, and go out and spend time outdoors with other people. It's always good. So that's the gist of the bill, Mr. Chair and members, but I've got some much more interesting testifiers here that can explain this bill and the good that it will do for my constituents, for your constituents, and for the entire state here with me today.
Well, thank you. And if they want to come down and start, I don't have a list of names. Well, I have a Mark Argarita and a Paul Forsline. Paul Forsline, okay. And if you guys want to just come and line up down here so we can make the time go quicker, so that we have a couple other bills on the agenda this morning. So we want to get through these things as quickly as we can. Welcome to the committee, and please state your name for the tape.
I'm Paul Forsline. I am president of City of Skate. We're a nonprofit advocacy group out of Minneapolis. And to explain why we're here to talk about skate parks, we started a number of years ago advocating for skate parks in Minneapolis and to make the quality of skate parks acceptable for skating and really a community asset. And what we found out after a few months of success and actually getting skate parks designated Minneapolis, we started getting calls from all over the state, from parents, kids, people from your district that have been trying to get quality skate parks in their communities for years and getting nowhere with that. And so I just want to tell you the story of skate parks and why they're important to the communities. And I also want to put into your minds what a skate park looks like, because I think whatever you're thinking for a skate park is probably not what we're talking about. So the program's broken down into 3 parts. There's $2.5 million that go towards community skate parks, so smaller scale skate parks. These are matching grants, so $250,000 is going to go towards a $500,000 skate park. There's also regional skate parks. There's a community skate park, so that's a smaller scale skate park community. You got regional skate parks. That's a skate park that would have a draw, say in Rochester, St. Cloud, Duluth, and think of municipalities as working with their counties to build a larger skate park to draw kids from the region. And then lastly, there's a part of the bill that's for a statewide skate park. So it's a large facility. It would fit the needs of beginners all the way up to Olympic athletes. And by the way, the Olympics are hitting in Tokyo this year, and skateboarding is being added, men's and women's athletics. We anticipate a huge increase in the demand for skateboarding, especially from the women's side of skateboarding. Just to let you know, this is on your doorstep. Des Moines, right here, the image I'm showing is a $6 million skate park that they're building right now to be the largest in the country. So this is happening all around us. Madison has a park. Sioux Falls is working on a park. This isn't something unique. Also want to put in context skateboarding. These facilities are just as valuable as baseball fields, football fields, tennis courts, and actually it's a great taxpayer investment in the fact that if you look at this image, a skate park will often have 50 users using it at one time compared to, say, a premier football field, premier baseball field. It's a lot of quality and content for this investment. Now the breakdown, this is in your pamphlet. The breakdown is of funding for skate parks. The issue is it's the upfront costs. Once the skate parks are built, the management operation is almost, it's not nothing, but it's in the single digits compared to your premier baseball fields, your softball fields, football, soccer fields. So it's the upfront cost. This is the hurdle we're trying to get over. And this matching dollars is really what's going to make a difference in these communities and make the skate parks quality. So here's the bad news. Here's about 95% of the skate parks in Minnesota right now. This is what they look like. They're modular equipment built by playground people, not skateboarders, put on asphalt. Asphalt turns into sandpaper after literally a year. The ramps start sinking into the asphalt. They become unrideable. And that's what our expectations have been for skate parks for years and years. And that's really the majority, almost all of the skate parks in our state are this way. And actually, by the way, some of these are some of the skate parks in your districts. So we'd like to change that. Here's the good story, St. Cloud. Part of the reason Representative Walgamot is here. This skate park, the young gentleman in the corner, Austin Lee, actually had to get appointed to their Park and Rec Board and actually served as chairman by the time he was 18 to get this park done. It took from the year 2000 to 2010. It's a state-of-the-art skate park. It's a huge success. Unfortunately, it needed to be moved because of a Costco thing. But St. Cloud values skate parks so much, they're building a new skate park for $1.3 million. And if you need anybody to convince you of the value of skate parks, talk to Mayor Kleiss up there. He's a raving fan of skate parks, and we'll talk to any of you about the quality and the benefit of skate parks. Again, what makes a skate park great? It needs to be unique. It needs to be custom, concrete, not the cookie cutter asphalt modular units that we have all about. And here's some examples. That's why you see some images of skate parks around the country, around the world, where they've integrated them into the community. They've taken aspects of the community heritage and put that into design and made them really spaces of gathering for the whole community. And this, again, you might be thinking Minnesota, skateboarding, this is a California thing. This is happening all around the world. Actually, Denmark and Sweden are probably the leaders right now in skate park infrastructure and what's going on. Again, when they're quality built, concrete, custom, they're active spaces, they're not inactive. You see weekends packed skate parks when they're built like this. And we want them to be comfortable, programmable, really community assets. They can be right in the heart of the cities. City of Skate, we're lucky we partnered with another nonprofit, North Minneapolis. We built this facility. It's a skate spot, 3,000 square feet. We had kids here nonstop last year. It's been a raving success. And we actually gave out 60 skateboards to this location this last year to kids at need. And it was nonstop action. This can happen in any community in the state. So it's not just in your park system. This could be right in your commercial districts, even if you have a piece of property that needs to be activated. And again, it's an intergenerational thing. We have skaters now that are my age. By the way, I'm not a skater. I'm a parent. I grew up with my kids are now in their 20s. Never had a neighborhood skate park to skate at. And that was of any quality. We traveled. We went to places. We went to St. Cloud. So, and we're looking for these skate parks to be something we pass on to the next generation. These are spaces that our communities are proud of. It's just as important as our ice arenas. It's just as important as our field sports spaces. And it's really a signature spot for communities all across the state. So we hope you'll support the funding. The mechanism in place is duplicating the Mighty Ducks initiative. It's a proven method of getting these grants throughout the state. We're just applying it to a different activity, an activity that we really believe has been undervalued by our state and really needs to be embraced just to help our communities, help youth. And I hope you'll support this. I'm going to turn it over to Marcia Hovey, who's a member of City of Skate.
I have a Mark Rodriguez, but you're not Mark.
I'm not Mark. I'm so sorry.
Anyway, just
Good morning, everybody. I am Marcia Hovey. I have never done this before. This is very exciting, and I hope that you are excited to talk about skateboarding. I don't know how often that comes up in these meetings.
It's just
So,
like skateboarding.
what's that?
It's just like skateboarding. You roll with it.
Exactly. Very great morning metaphor at
Ba-dum-bum.
8:05 a.m. Impressive. So my name, again, is Marcia Hovey. I am a board member of City of Skate. I am 31. I've been skateboarding for 7 years. And when you think of a skateboarder, if you can close your eyes and imagine a skateboarder, do you imagine a young girl or a woman as a skateboarder? I won't judge you if that answer was no. But I'm here to make it very clear that when we talk about skateboarding, we are talking about an activity that is done by all. Females in skateboarding is the fastest growing demographic in action sports. So we are not just talking about your 13-year-old boy. We are talking about girls. We're talking about adult women. We're talking about boys, men, cross generations, cross cultures, cross races, and absolutely cross genders. So I just want to make that very clear that I am a skateboarder. I represent a lot of women in the area that feel that we don't have facilities that are comfortable for us to use, that are inviting for a younger generation. And it's one of those things that if you are a young girl and you don't see any other girls doing that activity, why do you think that it's for you? You probably don't. So I grew up outside New York City, did not have access to skate parks, very much like the suburbs of the Twin Cities. I did not start skateboarding until later in life when I was in Portland, Oregon. Oregon is a great example of an area that is really utilizing skate parks as living sculptures and great community spaces. Hi. So I started skateboarding because I was going to these places with friends and saw women skateboarding. That was amazing to me, and it really inspired me to start. I ended up then working with an organization called Skate Like a Girl, which gets young women into skateboarding. I work specifically with girls ages 3 to 7, which is adorable. And it's such an amazing thing to watch the confidence that comes out of skateboarding, the courage that it takes. I don't know if any of you were watching the Oscars, but there's a wonderful documentary about a program called Skateistan. The documentary just won the Oscar for Best Film, and it is amazing. I highly recommend it. It's a great example of what can be done just through a sport that a lot of people have written off as maybe a counterculture or something that will not be as popular as football or hockey. We have this horrible cycle that Paul mentioned where towns will invest in these skate parks that are cheaper and prefab, and then they don't last, and then you have parents and city officials saying, well, nobody uses that skate park, why would we invest in another? Well, it's because the wrong thing was invested in. If we are investing in concrete skate parks that really are the center point, we will have people traveling to our state to experience those skate parks. I personally have skated in 12 states just because I want to go experience what other states have. And it's an amazing thing where you walk into a skate park and you automatically have a community, whether that is saying hi to a woman or a young girl that is there, or finding out that you have friends that you didn't even know existed in a new place. So I just want to be very clear that when we talk about skateboarding, we are talking about a wide range of people, a wide range of ages, girls especially, and I really hope that this is something interesting for you guys to chat about today. And if you want to come skateboarding with any of us, we are more than welcome to get you on board. So thanks for listening to us.
Thanks for your testimony. Next we have, is this Paul Rodriguez?
We're just really keeping you on your
Or is he not? Okay.
Go ahead. Okay. Sorry. I think our list we gave you was a little out of order.
Yeah, well, yeah, just whatever it is. Yep,
Okay,
we're flexible here.
My name is Mark Rodriguez, and I'm here to talk a little bit about skateboarding and the skateboarding economy. I'm a local business owner. I run a skateboard park called The Third Layer. We've been in business, operating now out of Golden Valley for the last 23 years. I myself am a lifelong skateboarder. I got my first board at 8 years old, and I have dedicated my life to not only riding and challenging myself, but also creating opportunities for more people to be involved with skateboarding. So my business, we do a lot of different things, and I believe that we've got a unique insight into the need that does exist out there. Being a for-profit business means that for people to use my facility, they not only have to pay, but oftentimes drive very far. They have to fill out a waiver. And there are enough skateboarders in this state that over 10,000 of them do that every single year. We pull people from communities all over Minnesota, places like Mora and Grand Rapids to Minneapolis and Minnetonka. We run youth programming in partnerships with communities just like yours, skateboard camps that we operate out of communities like Mendota Heights, Woodbury, Cottage Grove. We do a youth contest series called Summer Series that operates in communities all over the Twin Cities like Shoreview and St. Louis Park. The list goes on and on. The need for youth to have access to skate parks today is more so than ever. As my colleague stated, as Marcia stated, one of the fastest growing demographics in skateboarding today is women. There are heroes out there. There are women competing at a very high level. We're going to see them in the Olympics this summer along with their male counterparts. There are disability groups out there. We work with a local nonprofit called Adaptive Skate Collective that's run by a double amputee of the legs who introduces skateboarding in an empowering way to the youth of the Twin Cities that struggle with various physical and mental limitations. And a lot of those kids end up transitioning right into our normal daily programming. The beautiful thing about skateboarding that we've seen is that when there's access to it, kids will flock to it. It's conducive to the types of lifestyles that we live these days, in that there's not a lot of time. People find themselves running from work to practice to other practice, dropping kid off here, dropping kid off there. What skateboarding offers, especially if you have a facility in your community, is a quick 20-minute, 30-minute, 40-minute commitment, whatever you want to do with it. You don't need to organize your team. You don't need to be on time to a practice. If your parents bring you to the skate park, there's going to be other people there doing it with you. It's not an overly competitive environment. We like to say at our business that there are no rules with how to skateboard. It's very expressive, but it's also very physical at the same time. So for youth in today's world of screens, to be able to have something that allows them to be creative, it allows them to be active simultaneously, it allows them to feel included no matter what their ability is, what their limitations are, what their gender is, what their background is. And if we have skate parks in communities, no matter what their economic circumstances are, they can be a part of this community that is one of the most welcoming communities that I've ever been involved with anything that I do. I'm just here to tell you, as a for-profit business owner, you may think it might be counterintuitive for me to ask you to fund free spaces for these youth to come to, but I believe in it that much. We've been able to stay open for 23 years, not because people have to come to us, but because we've created an environment where people want to come to us. And we want to be a part of a solution that allows any kid anywhere in this state the opportunity to participate in action sports. So hopefully you all take into consideration what we're asking. We don't feel like we're asking for a ton of money. We're not asking for the state to fund 100% of anything. We go out and we fundraise. We would ask the community members to do the same. We'd ask the municipalities to get some skin in the game. All we're asking for you is to help bridge the gap that prevents the skate parks that are being built from being the skate parks that we can be proud of as skateboarders and as community members here in the state of Minnesota.
Well, thank you. And anybody else? And I understand there's a couple here that's coming forward, or a team that's coming forward. And if there's anybody else that wants to speak to or for this, if you want to head on down towards there, please welcome to the committee, and please state your name for the record.
Hello, I'm Witsi Asoko.
And I'm Cora Neeson.
I wanted to speak on behalf of City of Skate, which is a nonprofit organization that helped design a skate park in North Minneapolis with juxtaposition arts. The north side is low income and mostly kids of color that are in the neighborhood. It's the highest concentration of youth in the city. You may see this is a north side issue, but overall the state, there's so many youth, and this is a good way to retain youth and to start with youth by designing spaces for them. I'm a lifelong skateboarder. I've been a part of skateboarding for over 30 years, and what it gave me was self-confidence and identity and a determination to do things regardless of teams, regardless of practices. And that's what we find is an amazing thing with skateboarding, is that it's a really low barrier to participation as far as cost. And once you're involved, there isn't a dependence on a ton of other people aside from getting there, right? So, but we're here, me and Cora are really here to talk about juxtaposition arts. We spent the summer working with kids maybe that hadn't skateboarded for the first time, and we found it hugely impactful. I'll hand it off to Cora, though.
Yeah, so my role at the plaza was a skate plaza host, which was mostly handing out rental boards, but also just being a steward of the space. And in that role, I really saw the power that skateboarding and quality skate parks have to really empower youth and be a catalyst for healthy and thriving communities. Skateboarding, I think, is rooted in physical space a little bit more than other activities, being that it is about looking at the space around you and really being in it and using that to create a new expression. And because of that, I think it grounds skateboarders in their community in a really powerful and unique way. And we saw this at Juxtaposition. All these pictures show. Yeah, it's a really powerful space to be in when you apply this to youth. And when youth feel that they are invested in the space around them, and when they are part of a community, that is a really powerful investment in their future and their engagement in not only the community, but also sort of democracy as a whole. And also on the individual level, there's a growing body of research that shows that skateboarding activates all of the parts of the brain to heal trauma. Skateboarding also encourages healthy risk-taking. It encourages personal autonomy and choice. And these are all things that are really, really important when we think about investing in the power of our youth. So on the individual level, on the communal level, on the societal level, investing in skate parks is investing in youth. It's investing in their power. It's investing in our communities. And really only positive things happen, which I saw at Juxtaposition.
And I have one question about, where is this Juxtaposition, the picture on here, and where is that
Yes,
located?
Juxtaposition Arts is at the corner of Emerson and Broadway. We would love to show you if you're in town. Make a trip up. It's now being
No,
thought out.
I
and
know the area well. I thought I recognized the building.
Everybody, now the kids are shoveling it out. So it will be ready to go, hopefully in the coming days, now that we're getting warmer weather. This skate park is designed in a way, Paul showed you an older model, which is really based on like skateboard equipment as playground equipment. And this was really designed with the user first. And that's what I want to encourage, that thought. And it does take a little bit more resources as far as finances go, but it really adds, the initial cost is up front, but in the end, the long-term payback is much greater when it's focused on user-centered design. And this is what we did here. We worked with the environmental design group at Juxtaposition Arts. They're a group of kids that learn about landscape architecture, and they're placed into jobs afterwards. So this is a portfolio piece by a bunch of teenagers that created this space. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that, but I don't need to put that onto this hearing. Overall, we only had the skate park for 4 months, and over 500 kids were coming a month, mostly from the neighborhood, but we are drawing from all over Minnesota because the quality of skate parks is not that high, and this was a high quality skate park. Even though it's only a 3,000 square foot space, people were driving from all over the state. But I really want to encourage you to support this skate park funding. Like I said, it's a very and the initial cost is up front, but the long-term benefit is great and goes on for many, many years. Thanks for listening to us, and we hope you support this bill. One more thing. We wanted to invite you to the Skate Park Advocacy Day on April 2nd. We're going to be having a skateboard demonstration outside of the Capitol on the promenade, and we'll also have a rally at the Capitol. We'll send you more information, but that is detailed in your handout that we gave you. So thanks.
Thank you for your testimony. Anybody else in the audience that wants to speak for or against this bill? Oh, he's this, okay. And I see there's an amendment here, and we should probably get this in order. And it looks to be just a changing of a date. So I'll move the amendment of H 2490A1. All those in favor of the A1 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. And I guess questions now. I got Representative Nash. You have a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and certainly do support kids skating. I've got a giant wad of kids at home, and they skateboard and longboard. But putting my former mayor's hat back on, when we did a skate park in the city of Waconia, we just took care of it as a municipal park. And I'm wondering, Representative Wolgamott, why that's not the case in your bill and why the state is building, I think, what is it, $8.25 million worth of skate parks? And I'll have some follow-ups, Mr. Chair.
Representative Wolgamott.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Nash, that's great that your community had the resources to do that. Unfortunately, that's not the case throughout all communities in Minnesota, and the intent of this bill is to make sure that all kids throughout Minnesota, regardless of the local resources that your community has, that our state invests in their health and their well-being, and ensure that they have those opportunities to excellent skate parks. And I would also draw members' attentions to line 2.12 and 2.13. To the extent possible, 50% of all grants must be awarded to communities in greater Minnesota. So this is a bill to make sure that we're investing in communities all throughout the state.
Can I address that question? Is that possible?
Shortly.
Yeah, just, so
Mr.
Representative Nash, your skate park is actually the top left up there. So that skate park, the ramps have actually fallen into the asphalt. I know a group in your town actually has been trying for over 10 years to get a better quality skate park there. They even got as far as get a concept drawn up, which would have been a custom concrete park. And unfortunately, like many towns across the state, that has fallen to the wayside. So again, skate park there, not at the highest use. Again, going down the road of a modular park. Again, the story of youth in your city trying to convince their parks to build a quality skate park and unable to get there. And we're hoping this bill with these matching funds, it's kind of the impetus for these park and rec programs to say the money's available, this can match our money, we can actually build a custom skate park, something that will last 20, 30 years versus something here that was probably usable for 3 years. And after that, you probably saw the use decline rapidly. And it's just the story that happens across the state.
Representative Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Representative Wolgamott, talk to us about the matching, because if cities can't apparently do this and or have chosen not to in their CIP programs, how is that going to work?
Representative Wolgamott.
Mr. Chair, Representative Nash, so you can take a look at lines starting at 1.20 through 1.22, talking about all the different opportunities that cities can have, including in-kind contributions of land, access roadway improvements, necessary utility service, landscaping, parking. But those are the in-kind contributions that we're asking for.
I think you'll see. I'm sorry.
Representative Nash, do you have,
Or he can.
Mr. Force line.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Representative Nash, I think a lot of times the skate parks, even in your community, when you see them built, you see the matching money coming from Park and Rec. You might see them coming from the city. You'll see the Lions Club chip in. You'll see pancake breakfast, whatever it's. Usually skate parks are constructed with a lot of sources coming in. What the state grant does, it just leverages it to actually make the cities a quality skate park. And I guess another thing I failed to mention, often the skate parks that get made successfully and well made, the biggest regret of every city that when that happens, when they get the resources together to actually build a custom concrete skate park, their biggest regret is the fact that they don't make them big enough. And it's true, because it's a success and it's overused versus underused, and they wish they had something bigger. And I know that was the case in St. Cloud. Their next skate park is bigger than the first one. And I know Mayor Kleiss up there also wants more skate parks. They're a success when they are funded to the max and to the point where they're actually a solid capital investment.
Representative Nash.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And to continue, so Representative Wolgamott, an $8.25 million appropriation. Again, I'm advocating that if cities want to do this, they should put it in their long-range CIP like we did in Waconia for the different priorities that we had as a community. But how many skate parks is $8.25 million going to build if it's a matching grant or whatever? So help us understand to the level that you, and I'm not, so the level that you say you'd like to have these built, how much does that get built?
Representative Wolgamott, Mr. Forsline.
So I guess to break it down, there's the 3 levels of grants, right? There's the one that's a state draw skate park. That's one skate park, okay? Bring it down to the regional skate parks. That is $3.75 million. Matching wise, if it was the max grant, it would be $750,000. So that's 5 skate parks for regional. I don't necessarily believe that the grant doesn't have to be 750,000. So I think that could be up to 10 skate parks, a regional draw. And then you have your community skate parks at 250,000. Well, there's at least 10 skate parks there if each grant is the max. But I would suspect that also be drawn out from 10 to 20 skate parks. So we're looking at 30 skate parks as well with a statewide draw. I also think this will be a catalyst, though. This is the key part of this bill. This is something that once these skate parks are built, I think other communities, other parts of the state are going to see the value of these skate parks and will initiate them to designate money for those skate parks. So this is really an impetus to not only the skate parks within this bill, but actually to inspire other cities to take a look at the example of St. Cloud. And I guess the other city I'll call it is Burnsville. Burnsville actually built a quality skate park. And again, raving success. It's an example to other cities, and it's really how skate parks need to be built to be a success and be actually a value for tax dollars.
Representative Nash?
Just a real quick last couple questions. If you could address the ongoing maintenance of these, what's going to happen with the grants there, and the insurance, which is always going to be a little bit more on something like this.
Go ahead.
Not something that has been addressed in the bill. Are you going to, is part of the grant or the future second bill, is that going to be having the state cover insurance for these things, or what's going on there?
Representative Wolcott. Mr. Forsline?
Yes. Chair Nelson, so skateboarding is an at-risk activity. It's no different than being in a swimming pool, being on your bike going down a state trail. So the liability is not there. It's an at-risk activity. Recreational use statute in our state actually covers this in the fact that it's a known recreational use. So liability is really, it's not existent. It's something that happens on public land and park space. So it's no different. It's funny, we get this question because everybody thinks skateboarding is dangerous, and it's actually, statistics show that skateboarding is no dangerous than soccer, basketball, definitely not as dangerous as hockey or football. So it's something that is often thrown out there as a caution, but it's happening everywhere in the world. These parks are being built everywhere. So just hopefully that addresses your concerns.
And Mr. Chair, the maintenance question?
Representative Nash?
Representative Nash, the maintenance, so these are concrete skate parks. So the maintenance on a concrete skate park, when built properly, is minimal. I would say yearly, I know the budget in the Minneapolis skate system is $7,000 per skate park for the maintenance. I think compare that to ongoing for baseball fields, football fields, hockey arenas, it'd be a small comparison. So, again, we're saying a 20-year longevity for a skate park, possibly 30 years.
Representative Acom? Wake up.
I'm awake, sorry.
Thank you,
I was
Mr.
listening.
Chair.
I didn't mean to shock you.
Thank
I happen to be
Acom or
on the
Mason?
Egan City Council.
Mason Acom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We sound alike. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I really want to thank the author for bringing the bill forward. I think any activities that we can provide to get kids outside is beneficial. I know I have friends whose family trips road trips would be taken, and they would stop in communities around the country that had skate parks. So I think that's great. So my question is about the skate community. In Minnetonka, we just recently went through developing a mountain bike park, and it was driven much by the mountain bike community as it's grown within schools and the schools developing mountain bike teams. And so, as you had said that this is going to be an Olympic sport this year, I'm wondering, are there school teams or community teams that might help drive the location or placement of some of these parks? I think that would be a helpful impactor where communities might be open to it.
And 1 second, we're running short on time, so if we can keep our questions short and our answers short, it would help us get done on time.
Okay. Representative,
Mr.
actually, I can give you an
Forsline.
example for Minnetonka. 2 years ago, City of Skate received an email from Alyssa Gohl, who's a middle school teacher at Minnetonka Middle School. And there was a problem there at the school. Their kids after school, many of them were going to the neighboring shopping center, looking for places to go. Their middle school kids, no place to go. She grew up skateboarding. She decided, how about I start a skateboard club? She put out a list. She had 40 kids signed up within 24 hours. She had to stop the list. She couldn't handle it anymore. She came to us because she has no place to take these kids. She was using parking lots, gym, no skate park in Minnetonka, no place for her to take these kids. So there's just an example. There is a need, there is the demand. Without the facilities, you're not going to see a demand unless you have individuals like this take the initiative. And these individuals are out there, these kids are out there, this desire is out there. But unfortunately, our facilities, as you can see, fall woefully short. Minnetonka Skate Park is there on upper right. That was torn out 2 years ago. It was a failed skate park. I'm sorry, it was there for a number of years. Asphalt, modular equipment, participation levels went down because it's a terrible skate park. Bottom line.
Representative Acom. Representative Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I was on the Eagan City Council is when young people started coming asking for a skate park. And it took years to get that built because of trying to get the insurance for the facility. Obviously, we've come past that, and both Eagan and Burnsville recently redid their skate parks. My grandson, who lives in California, is an avid skateboard person, so he has used many of our facilities here. Plus, when I was visiting last time, I went with him to a new park near him, which it was fairly small. But the most impressive one is the one that's in a shopping center, and I can't remember. It's a sporting goods store. So when you go in, you can see the sporting goods stuff. But the back, it's huge. And there were like a couple of fathers with their young kids that were doing this. It was amazing. And are you aware of what facility that I'm talking about in California?
I don't. I mean,
Forsline.
Sorry. One of our thinks you're maybe describing the Vans Park in California, but yeah, yeah.
As I said, it was huge.
They're used.
Yeah.
They're very popular and very much used. Yes.
Representative Albright.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair. Representative Walgamot, I want to direct your attention to page 2, lines 2.25 through 2.32 first. And before I do that, I preface that by asking the chair, this is going back to Ways and Means with a referral probably to Cap Invest, to capital investment from
Capital,
Ways
yes,
and Means.
that is, it is going to be going back to Ways and Means with the recommendation that it be sent to capital investment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Representative Walgamot, when we talk about general obligation bonds in a bonding request, could you explain to me what you mean by line point 2.26 when you talk about cooperative purchasing agreements for the purpose of purchasing skate park equipment and services?
Representative Wolgamott.
I'm just going to read it through. You know, I look. Oh, sorry,
Mr.
Chair.
Forsland.
Chair, yes, thank you for recognizing me. I think that is again, the bonds is working with the Minnesota Amateur Sports Commission, again helping the communities access the proper design and construction of the facilities, and just to make sure that this money is actually spent for actually quality equipment. Again, not repeating the mistakes that we've made in the past in some of the communities. So I believe that's what it's addressing.
Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Further down there, Representative Wolgamott, it talks about on lines 2.3 and 2.31, talks about fees collected must be deposited into a revolving fund established by the subdivision. Money appropriated to the commission to administer the programs and services covered. Once you're releasing the general obligation bonds for the purpose of the project, what does that section entail in terms of reissuing bonds or reissuing funding from that? What does that entail, and what does that subscribe to?
Representative Wolgamott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Albright, when we put this bill together, that was what we were told by council to be the best way to do this. I don't know if our House Research is here, would like to explain in better detail than I what that would do, but that was in consultation and putting this bill together. that's what we told would be the most functional way to administer this.
Yeah, if I may speak, Chair. Here it goes.
I believe that, I'm conferring with staff here that the person that drafted this is not here today. The researcher, you might want to talk offline with Representative Albright and get the answer to that, because we don't have that answer here today.
Perfect.
Mr.
Representative
Chair, I just
Albright.
have one follow-on to that then. Representative Walgamot, and you can probably do your homework on this one too, with regard to on page 3, lines 3.1 through 3.5. When you're talking about general obligations, special tax bonds for skate parks, and may be paid from sports and health club sales tax revenues. I've never seen language proprietary to a project like this incorporated into a bonding issue. So I think there needs to be some nuancing on the language to conform to what would typically be a bonding allocation. If you could address that.
Representative Wolcott, I think you're getting instructions to look at that closely and maybe change to that. It is something that's different in the bill, but I've not seen before, but
Yeah, like I said, when we put this bill together, that was what looked like to be the best format, but certainly willing to look at that with the person and follow up with you.
Representative Albright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Vogel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the representative, are there similar programs for local baseball fields?
Representative Wolgamott.
I don't think we've had a shortage of baseball fields in Minnesota, in quality baseball fields. So I don't know of any. I know there's probably been facilities at a state level, college level, indirectly state funds, but I don't think they've needed a grant program at this point. And actually, from our experience working with Minneapolis and other cities, they're actually getting rid of baseball fields at the moment. And we're not trying to pit this as a baseball versus the soccer thing. We're just trying to bring skate parks up to a quality where they're used and they're hopefully a community asset. So I guess the history of baseball is they haven't needed a grant program to get them built.
And Representative Vogel, I think you mentioned early in the beginning of your discussion here, you explained the bill. This is kind of in line with the Muddy Ducks program.
That's right.
To encourage building these things, like we're encouraged to build hockey arenas and for kids that were skating, because that was at one point that was a shortage of those around, and I think this is mirroring that. Representative Vogel, I think.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm taking that as a no. Let's go on. Is there anything similar for soccer fields?
Representative Vogel, Representative Wolgamott. Answer.
Again, yeah, this is really just to make sure that, we're hearing from people all throughout the state and from youth all throughout the state that there's a need for skate parks. And so this bill is just intended to give opportunities to communities all throughout the state and make sure that they have the opportunity to have funding to create skate parks.
And Representative, passed here, the statute book in 240A.13, there's a soccer field development funds that are already in statute, so it would be similar to that.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've actually got a list here of. I've
Well,
got-
Representative Vogel, we're running short on time.
And I realize that, but,
So-
this to me is, we're taking general obligation bonds. We're going to make them paid for by multiple generations that come after us. And there's a fairness and an equity issue here. And that's what I'm after, these are really nice ideas. But I put down trap shooting, I put down dance, I put down swimming, I put down tennis, I put down football, I put down track and field. Now, some of those things are done through schools, and they're already being bonded for. When we do stuff like this for individual sports in individual cities, which this does, and are taking bonding money, I think we have to be really careful because we're discriminating against those other entities that aren't getting it. And to the case of baseball fields, the city that I happen to live in has been building a tremendous baseball program and doing it with their own funding. There are other cities that might want to do the same thing, even though baseball might be spurned by some people. So I think when we do this, Mr. Chair, we have to be careful not to discriminate and pick winners and losers. If we're going to do this, then we should do it holistically, or we should not do it at all. Thank you.
And Representative Vogel, those are all good questions, and those are questions that are more appropriate for the bonding committee that makes those choices of what they're going to put in the bonding bill. Representative Wolgamott, if you want to quickly answer, and we need to get to a vote here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should be, looking at all different kinds of things. If you feel passionately about a certain sport, and build a coalition like we have with this, with the skating community and the local governments, would definitely encourage you to work out a bill, Representative Vogel. But we've got this coalition, we've put in the work, we've got a plan, we see a need, and we're excited to address that.
And with that, Representative, I'm going to renew my motion that House File 2490, as amended, be re-referred to the Ways and Means Committee with a recommendation that it be sent to capital investments. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The ayes have it. You're on your way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members.